And welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by Wilbourn Michael Hamflett from WhatCulture, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Hamflett to review last night's AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen. God, it's good to be back.
It's like finding an old pair of shoes or something in it that are still in great nick. I don't know, right, if I was just watching this and all the way through, the soundtrack was not just the Pointer Sisters, which I've got a lot of nice things to say about, by the way, but it was basically Dean Martin, is it? It's the most wonderful time of the year where wrestling is back and you're out of your house and you feel good cheer. I don't know if it was that, and I was just riding that high. I thought this was a tremendous episode of Dynamite. Mixed online, to say the least. A lot of mixed feedback to a lot of big and bold and different choices that were made on this Dynamite. I had an absolute whale of a time with this. A whale of a time. Loved it.
I enjoyed it, especially because I think I've just been out of the loop for like 2 weeks.
Oh, I've been deep in that loop. Let me tell you, my head has been so far up that loop whenever I have had a moment. I do not want it thought that like this was as I know it is for you, and I imagine it is like for most healthy-minded folk. And I don't know for Sidge actually, but I don't want there to be any misconceptions here. Like me in the loop, we were like this for the duration of Christmas. Any time I could have a peer into that loop, I was peering and I was staring, because the loop, mate, was at times what was there for me when the biscuit barrel ran dry,
right,
and the toilet door ran locked. There was me and the loop.
I just had a nice break from everything. I watched a bit of Wallace and Gromit.
I was off. Let's not call it a break. I was off. It was just 2 weeks.
I've sort of, seen the odd thing pop up online. I unfortunately didn't quite get time to catch up on World's End. But I have watched in its entirety the Seth Rollins CM Punk promo, which was excellent.
Oh, yeah. It's coming on Tuesday on Netflix.
Yeah, if you're wondering, by the way, Sid said he didn't want to come back and we'll talk about AEW Dynamite. He only wants to come back when we're starting to talk about the Fed and Netflix. So that's why he's not here.
Fair. Fair's fair.
He's just having a nice family time. He'll be back on Monday.
I best do this. I had a very nice family time. Like a really nice family time. One of the better, I would say, family Christmases I've ever had in now nearly 12 years of them. Oldest son turns 12 in a couple of weeks' time. So had a lot of goals at family Christmases, mixed results over the years. This was one of the better ones. Kids were amazing. Wife was super supportive with...
Oh, how was Christmas dinner?
I kind of nailed it.
Good work.
Kind of nailed it. Nothing went wrong, put it like that. It's all about, I've learned this in my 2 attempts at this dinner, that ultimately, like, I know what I'm good at now, which is not much, but if nothing else, the timing of everything was right. So everything was served, well cooked, exactly as I wanted it to, and like hot, and not just, God, I need to warm this thing because I've left this too late or whatever. Didn't have to like do meat or prep the night before. Gambled on just doing it all on Christmas morning, did that. So yeah, like had a genuinely nice Christmas, but me in the loop. I was best mates with the loop. It's the first Christmas in years I've been on X. It's great on there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Somebody should have told me. Like, it helped me with the loop. Like, I really wanted to watch World's End properly informed on things going on, and I ended up watching most of it live.
Really?
Yeah, luckily John Moxley main evented, so I got an early night. But like, it peaked quite high, and it put me in quite a good mood for the stuff to come. And again, I think that's why I got quite a lot out of this Dynamite. I was I'm curious as to where Christmas sits with you currently in terms of Eric's age, because I know like people want to. I think this, stop me if I'm wrong on this one. I think when you have your first child, a baby, there's a minimum of 12 months, and our first was born in January, right? So even at 12 months in December, he's a baby. And I think people like to impose the idea of a Christmas on you that first year, and that's bollocks.
Yeah.
That is a complete myth. That
It's
is
a blur last year's Christmas.
made up in grandparents' heads or friends' heads or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, oh, here's all these gifts that a 12-month-old couldn't possibly care about, let alone, in your case, 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of think that's all nonsense. And then you get a little bit more. And
It's
a little
getting
bit
better,
more.
yeah.
And then what comes with it getting a little bit better is then a little bit of an expectation that everything's going to be better. And then it's like, you're still a nightmare at that. And then that like sort of throws you for a loop or whatever. And it's like, I don't judge in kids of any age, but especially of like that kind of still very much young toddler age, completely derailing it, as they are sometimes wont to do, whether it be with bad sleep, bad behavior, bad anything. How was
good.
it?
Yeah, he was good this year. Like I say, last year it was very much just sort of like
He's just lying
us
there,
opening the presents for him in between him napping. This year was a bit more like palming him off on the grandparents, whilst Anne-Louise and I a little bit, but she's the queen of all this.
Yeah.
Sorts the Christmas dinner out, which was spectacular. I'll give her all the credit in the world for that. Despite that, wonderful. We had chicken, we had pork, we had all the trimmings and that.
Yeah.
And Eric had parts of it, like he'll eat peas or whatever. I will say, think of all the delicious food you can have over Christmas. Like the Drake meme where it's like,
It's
like all the delicious foods you can have and treats and just food that we normally give him, but just more of it because it's Christmas. Ugh. Wrapping paper sounds good to me. So it was just mainly watching that he didn't eat the wrapping paper.
Yeah.
But he had more about him obviously this year. Like we got him this tunnel that he can. And he was buzzing, just up and down that basically.
Like the one that goes like one of those
end.
pop-up tents where it just goes poof.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah.
And there wasn't really much stuff we had to get him this year that was like, right, Dad's going to have to leave the room for half an hour to go and put it all together. He was just, and a lot of the stuff, to be honest, spoiler when you're watching this in a few years, Eric, this will be Christmas presents 2025 as well.
You got, yeah.
Because a lot of them were like, hey, look at that, 3+, back in the box it goes.
Yep.
But it was lovely, yeah, and topped off by, we went for a nice breakfast and a walk on Boxing Day. And Eric, after we ordered at the little cafe that Anne-Louise had discovered, pat the waitress on the arse. So that was a fun experience for everybody. Cheers, love.
Eric. Like,
That's my boy.
like father, like your son? Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nice. And then I got trashed at a mate's wedding on the 28th. So that was kind of the no, it wasn't the highlight of Christmas, obviously. It was
This is the thing for me as well. So I haven't had me Christmas and booze. It's one of the times of the year where I don't binge drink.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of work in reverse to a lot of other people in that regard. Find me a random weekend in July where Kylie's on, I'll be pissed for 3 days. But Christmas, it doesn't tend to happen. So yeah, not like no hangovers, no nothing like that. No Christmas illness, which I understand was doing the rounds quite a bit. And
I
you
was
said you got
in a bad way the first week. It was like we finished for Christmas and it was like all the illness hit me at once.
got like so I was working Christmas till Christmas Eve, and then leaving the office. And my wife was working Christmas Eve as well, so my folks had the kids for the day, and we were going to like collect the kids from my folks on Christmas Eve, so we could go home and give them like
That's
nice
lovely
and stuff. I'll be honest, it was a little bit like I think I needed like 4 plays of Christmas Lights by Coldplay. For those that don't listen religiously to our complete bollocks, have used Christmas Lights by Coldplay as a counselling through my Christmas anxiety, which is just like, God, this is sad. God, this is joy. God, this is everything. If you just get through this song, maybe you'll get through Christmas. And it took like 4 plays. And I remember in the car, and I think I've discussed this method. My dad was great. Not for the, like people say, what's that like one bit of advice that your dad gave? He wasn't really that kind of dad. He was just a real steady Eddie of just be. Just like he leads by example. Follow these loose methods and you'll be all right in life. Not one for the big statements or anything like that sort of thing. But he always had this one thing. I'll try and do it on microphone for those that are just listening on audio. And it was like, I remember it coming up a lot around exams. So like I'd be, the day of an exam, I'd be quite nervous or whatever. And then he'd say, look, like, so I'd be about to leave the house and he'd just say like, look, just remember this. And he'd click, right? And the idea was later that day when I was in the house and it was done, and he'd go, here you go, son, remember this? And the idea was it was this like quite strong aural and visual thing. It would put you in the mindset of where you were like 8 hours earlier. And it was the time between the 2 clicks. And it was like, see, like that earlier on, you were thinking you were never going to get to this end click, but we did it. And that's kind of worked for me all these years. And then on the way down to get the kids, I had to do it. I was like, kind of, this is like, January 3rd is a long, long way away right now. It was, 9 days? Like 10, something like that?
Yeah.
But it felt...
Only January 2nd now, so...
Oh, yes, January 2nd. That's how long it felt. And I did that this morning. Like, genuinely, I just took a little minute to myself. I went, there, another Christmas completed.
Yeah.
Go me. Like, for tackling a time of year that I find quite stressful and quite difficult and anxiety-inducing. Done. And all this is to say, I don't think I'm going to hate any wrestling for about a month.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's sort of the January blues is one of the many reasons why this is such a dream of a job, because you're not even allowed January blues. Wrestling doesn't allow it because it's like, you're back. There was a New Year's Day show last year. There's a New Year's Day show this year. There's January 4th. There's January 5th. Now there's January 6th, not just for Chris Jericho's wife. Like, there's other things that it matters to in wrestling. I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing, mate. I'm buzzing. Yeah. I know people are tired. I know people are lethargic. I know some people don't necessarily want this content, let alone this wrestling right now. Some people will be very sad to go back to work. Here, you have my deepest sympathy if you're returning to work today and you don't want to. I have had plenty of jobs where Christmas was, and this is pre-kids especially, where Christmas was a break, where Christmas was a time off from the thing you don't like to do, the grind of it all. So strength to you today on, is it like next week? Ironically, is a day that we will be bathed in the red of Netflix and Raw. Is that Blue Monday traditionally?
I think maybe it's the week after, because it's like it has to be like far enough away from Christmas that you haven't still got the glow of it. Like that still counts.
And you're quite far away from payday.
And you've got like New Year's Evil and stuff, so no one's really going to be sad that day.
Good point. So yeah, but the people that are back in work right now, unless they're there by choice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that that's Christmas holidays over. Back to it.
Yeah, and if you're a teacher, I mean, you've got a whole 6 weeks until you have to have another break.
I don't endorse this, and sometimes I don't think he does either. Thank you for listening to us on your commute back. I'm sorry your commute is so terrible. I hope that we can make it better, and I hope that the wrestling you consume does too, because it would help me back then. Like, these shows would help me, because if nothing else,
we've already started excitedly booking the WrestleMania in the office today.
Just that's it, booking the territory over the desks. I remember before I was lucky enough to get to do this job, actually cover it as part of the job, the one thing good about returning to a routine that otherwise I didn't really like was the routine of the business.
Yeah.
And like, for all the times where we're like, take a month off, I would never want it at this time of year. No. I can think of times a year where I could say, like, a company could take a month off. It wouldn't be now.
No. And as if to reiterate your giddiness, I'm so excited by the Pointer Sisters is the new Dynamite intro.
Love it! Right. Few things here. You don't even get an intro every week.
No.
There are cold opens sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you're not going to get it every time.
I said this on the news. I was like, people will kick off about it today if they want to. I don't know why you would, but
you have.
It'll just either be normalized or, like you say, not even there in 3 weeks.
You have, and I have, very enthusiastically, I should point out, podcast potentially coming later that goes into a bit more detail on that, watched 52 Raws and 52 SmackDowns, give or take.
Oh my God.
Hum a bar of either of those entrance themes.
Are you ready for a good time?
That didn't change in 2021.
No, I'll skip past it.
Right. And
we're going out tonight.
Watching Dynamite. I think people will... The song means something to people, or it's already ingrained in...
Look at the girls, the best, my generation. It's the best in that one.
Girl, I don't even like that theme. Frankly, I despise the era of Raw that it represents, and yet, when somebody on the friggin' internet makes a hype package...
Someone do that for NXT. I don't know if I've seen someone make that for just NXT.
We haven't seen an NXT one. Come on,
get it on. And that's what they want to do in NXT. They always want to get it on.
Yeah. Doing music, sex with music. You seen Stax's knob over Christmas?
He sent me it, yeah.
It is massive and it ain't made of plastic. The themes around wrestling shows, when they are, if nothing, like back then, you would get it every week, so the repetition would get under your skin. It doesn't happen anymore. You get cold opens, you get themes where a lot of people can, because there's more ability to skip, you can skip. I like themes and video packages and the set dressing and all of it. It's important to me in my wrestling. And I like this. Like, I was so excited. And I just couldn't hide it.
I hope he just keep doing random bollocks like that. I mean, Saturday night's all right for fighting, makes sense, obviously.
As well, right. Is there a bit of I don't know, is there an anti-pop snobbery in... I mean, there's lots of anti-pop snobbery in AEW. There's nobody gets any reactions. But there's like, in terms of pop...
I think you meant pop music, yeah.
Pop music is a genre, just to be clear. Is there a bit of an anti-pop snobbery within wrestling? Because, like, Easy Lover was WrestleMania 1. And people love sharing that video with the actual licensed music on. What have we just had? Saturday night's main event. Synth pop.
Like, I was loving it. It's Sophie Ellis-Bextor on New Year's Eve.
Me too. I don't like New Year's Eve, but I enjoyed that.
Not as good. I think Astley was last year, which was the GOAT.
Hated it. Got my issues. We've discussed it. We'll leave that in 2023 where it belongs. Blossoms. It wasn't as good as us.
Murder on the dance floor.
As doing, do you know that was pre-taped? BBC were lying to you.
Oh, and a bit of Scissor Sisters. I haven't had Scissor Sisters for ages.
Well, do you know how I know it was pre-taped?
How?
Because
she wasn't gassed singing it.
Tragically, she was killed.
What?
At a French footballer's house.
A French footballer's house? Is he still playing or is he retired?
Nah, he's retired.
He's retired now. He's gone into a successful career in management at Real Madrid.
Until Sophie Ellis-Bextor was killed.
What happened?
There was a murder on the dance floor.
Still got it.
This is a Dynamite review, and you're getting this. We should do a Patreon tier just for this section. And
you just get the podcast without all the bollocks.
Well,
20-minute podcast.
Which is it? I was going to say you can't have both, but you can't even have it all.
But yeah, so I'm so excited, and then Mox and the Death Rider show.
Don't make me hide it. I know. I don't want you. I don't want you. Look what you do to me. You're f***ing barring me. Oh, go away.
Hey, it's the year it all finishes, hopefully. Everyone talks about what they're going to do, says Mox, but when the bullets fly and things get real, things get very different. Talked about Marina Shafir taking a bullet, but she's got iron will and impeachable character. Reminded us, that was a nice flashback when he drug this company through the pandemic, basically. He's taking bullet after bullet after bullet. He'll destroy the world title before he lets anyone place their criminal fingers on it. He knows what Adam Copeland's about. They don't fight against authority tonight. Copeland is just the loudest guy in the room. We aren't rebels. No one's got authority over us. Yeah, Moxley's the king, basically.
We'll get to this more in the main event. I am higher on this as I've probably been since Moxley put the bag on Bryan Danielson's head. And I know that doesn't exactly cover a shining period of Jon Moxley's AEW run, right? I think I like this Moxley Cope thing in the same way that I like Punk and Seth. Not to bring everything back to Punk, but I sense that I'm positive about Punk and Seth for both men, whereas a lot of people are kind of positive about that program for one man. I don't necessarily think the consensus everybody is with Seth in that. I don't want to speak for everybody, but in my curated timeline, there are a bunch of people that have been like, Christ, CM Punk's still the best at this. Like, even people that hate him are like, well, that is a promo. It promotes. You have to tune in and watch that fight. That's a main event kind of deal. And then a lot of people are going, and Seth was there. I have kind of backed him in this as well. I thought the one that cut 12 months ago, Seth held his end up then. I think he's been, at the moment, Punk returned. And you go, I've kind of liked it, right? I kind of sense that it might go in that direction with these two as well, where you've got Mox is the one that, even if you don't really like him or the Death Riders at the moment, and he feels boring and like he's kind of, he's actually kind of getting there again, and you're the worst bit.
Yeah.
People at least take him seriously. And then Cope is kind of a tough guy.
So what do you think of Cope, by the way? Call me Cope.
It's weird, isn't it? I won't be the first person to make this point, and I won't be the last.
He did warn us about it in that chat with Renee, of course.
I saw this clip circulating this morning that I'd forgotten about. I think it might be in his autobiography, but he spent years in interviews talking about how blessed he was, what a career he'd had, and then he would always say, but I kind of like wish I had a name that people could chant. like one syllable names are quite difficult to chant. It happens, but it never really happened for me in that way. There was never like an edge, spear became his monosyllabic chant, if anything. He gets to be the rated R superstar Adam Copeland. There's too many syllables of anything. But you got plenty of syllables to choose from, and he goes back to a one syllable name. It's you do you, mate. Maybe he feels more comfortable with it.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't.
Is it not case by case and cope by cope? And here is a man that just likes that. And maybe in this case, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like I said on the news, we've been calling him Edge for 3 decades?
We've been calling him Edge since he's been in AEW by accident. It's happened that often.
Yeah.
Maybe you found me on a positive week, but I, again, was like, oh yeah, fair dues. People were pretty pissed off about this.
Yeah.
Like, it did send people like, I don't know, and I get it as well for the kind of, any time AEW does something that could be accused of bad WWE, it's not good.
Yeah.
That's a worthwhile thing to pick at, and this is that, because how bad was Vince McMahon for taking away surnames for one named wrestlers, and how stupid was that a lot of the time? So I get that as well. But I don't know. I can't yet decide what's funnier, the rated R superstar Cope on his name graphic, or just when we just cut to the chase. Cope. Like,
Cope.
But like Edge looked fine on a graphic. 4 letters can look fine on a graphic.
Yeah.
Crush, that was 5, but it's like, is plenty of...
Mo. Anyway, rated FTR, got a promo in response. Cope talks about fighting for his friends like Darby Allin. And he's going to make Mox pay tonight, basically. Top guys, out. And then just to reiterate, Fight for Fallen, fantastic cause, most importantly.
Amazing, and probably worth mentioning here ahead of whatever we are critical of, because it's a really nice thing they've done. Received like total heroes on the night, as they should have been as well. Yeah, to go back to that point, that comparison point I was making, I kind of sense from the reaction to the name change Cope to the interactions here on this Dynamite that some people are kind of seeing angry man versus clown in the same way that they're looking at CM. But what's the meme you mentioned sometimes?
Yeah.
Is it Atomic Bomb or something? And the baby?
I don't know what you're talking about now.
Am I just been off too long? There's a thing about like the comparison point is so vast. It's nuclear bomb and a baby cry. Google it, please. Like, Google nuclear bomb baby meme, and it won't be quite that. But some people right now will be screaming at us for what
that's
this.
auto-completed to nuclear bomb baby. Yes, it's a coughing baby.
Thank you. I knew I wasn't taking crazy pills. It's like...
Just remembered, sorry, it's because that one where the bloke's interviewed and puts a microphone in front of a baby. What do you think?
Hydrogen bomb and baby is like what I think people will see Punk and Rollins, and they might see Mox and Cope in the same way, maybe. I, however, had a bit of time for it.
Oh, I don't understand this now. People are saying what they're doing comparisons, but I think they're using some loser nerd stuff that I just don't get.
No, you know what a hydrogen bomb is, and you know what a baby is. So that's it.
Sorry, the baby.
A baby doing a tiny cough.
Why have you put a microphone next to it?
Hydrogen bomb and coughing baby is like X and threads.
Yeah.
Like, what have you found? It's a coughing baby. It's not a hydrogen bomb, it's a coughing baby. One wins.
Right. The show.
Hydrogen bomb could be Mox, yeah? Because in that case.
Yes.
But the coughing baby could be Coffin, Coffin, Derby.
Oh, good.
Hydrogen bomb.
There's the meme.
Coffin Derby.
The Coffin Derby.
Meme makers.
Coffin Derby this weekend.
One because it just coffin drops, one because John Mox is trying to put AEW in the ground.
Coffin Derby this weekend.
I'm going to save that for World's End. I don't think Darby Allin's winning the world title. I've changed my mind.
I think we found out later on this show who's actually going to take it.
Oh, yeah, not even that. But yeah, I don't think it's Darby. I think he's going to pick Everest instead. I don't know which one.
Jesus Christ.
What's harder mountain to climb? Everest or saving AEW from John Moxley? I don't know.
I'll take
Everest, thanks.
So the show started in ring with Hangman Page versus Orange Cassidy. Immediately they went for finishers on each other, but ended in a stalemate. Page gets sent outside after a stun dog millionaire from Cassidy a little bit later on. Tries to dive onto him. Page catches him. Cassidy gets away from an apron powerbomb, but it gets hit with a fall-away slam on the ramp to take us to a break. When we come back, Page sets up Cassidy. He's in position for a buckshot, but Orange Cassidy rolls to the floor, does it a couple of times, winding him up. Even more so when Orange Cassidy comes back with his hands in his pockets and hits that drop kick, kip up, float over in the corner thing.
Kip up, flip up.
All that. Cassidy wanted a top rope DDT, but Page caught him, tried to lawn dart him, but Cassidy countered some DDTs. Page sells a lariat, wants the buckshot, but Cassidy countered into a beach break for a nice 2. Multiple orange punches from Orange Cassidy. Page rolls to the apron. Cassidy hits another one, but Page flips over into a huge buckshot for the 1, 2, 3. Post-match, he tries to kill Orange Cassidy with several dead eyes. Christopher Daniels runs down, gets in Page's face and gets chinned for that. Daniels tries to plead that he's Hangman Page's friend, but Hangman says, "Stay out of my business."
Right. This is the match where I will fully own up. Actually, this and the main event are the matches that I will fully own up to being drunk on the January 1st of it all.
Okay.
And just being glad to get the business back. Watching this, knowing that I'd get the privilege to get in and come and chat about it with you. This was liquid professional wrestling between two proper, bona fide AEW, like megastars within the world of AEW, stars within wrestling in general, on the first night, in the first match, as AEW begins this brand new era on Max. Like, this was a...
Simulcast.
Simulcast, yeah. Got to remember the word there. Best foot forward stuff.
Yes.
Hangman Page and Orange Cassidy not going to have a bad match. How great is it going to be? Well, there's a ceiling on it because of where the characters are at and the realistic stories you can tell at the moment. But go out there and do the kind of match that you look like you can wrestle in your sleep, but is at a substantially higher standard than a lot of people do while wide awake. So I would have booked the exact same thing and had this play out the exact same way. If this happens in the middle of a card in the middle of July, you're a bit like,
yeah.
But context is everything, and the context I'm applying is that this was the right match for the right time at the right moment. Really, really, really well executed and well performed, with the necessary finish for Hangman Page in particular, coming out the fact that both of them have lost at the weekend. The weekend, and ultimately, like, it's once again time to give up the ghost on an Orange Cassidy top guy push.
Yeah.
You always get within touch and distance, and they always kind of yank it away. And eventually, you kind of stop willing him to do it. Could they go again with him? Probably, but it's not happening anytime soon, is it? That's ship sailed once again, so maybe see you in 8-9 months with Orange Cassidy. I don't know. Page, on the other hand, needs the win, needed the sense of direction, and he got one here. Are you familiar with what went on with Daniels over Christmas? It's been a bit weird. He didn't offer that he'd, like, interfere on Page's behalf. But there was kind of there was a backstage thing with him, like, there was an implication that, like, if you need me, I can do stuff. And at the time, it was like, what? As the, like, assistant to the regional manager? Like, you can make things happen behind the scenes for him. What's going on? But then, obviously, at World's End, before even Page hits the ring, like, Chris Daniels comes out with, I don't have the job anymore.
Yes.
It's Kenny Omega. Like, so he's not an EVP.
No, I saw that, yeah.
Got no power now. Good, great. But that meant that, what? Did he know that he was... What was he trying to imply there? Was it that I'm going to be a wrestler again soon and I'm happy to be on your team? Or was it, I've got power and I can use it, because then he didn't have any power? And maybe Kenny Omega taking that power back is what's costing Hangman Page.
Yeah.
That's it's one or the other. Neither was clear. And now what we do know is that Page doesn't respect Daniels, otherwise he wouldn't have attacked him. And they're probably going to have some bang average match.
Probably.
It's going to be led to keep Hangman in this role. Bigger picture, not so great. I think AEW should pivot and get in babyface as soon as possible.
Yeah.
The fans are telling you what to do. I love that you are committed to some sort of long-term direction with Hangman Page. If there is any one single wrestler, I want to shout out Jules, regular listener, contributor, and friend of the channel as far as I'm concerned. And I think she has been a valuable asset. I like the conversations that we have on Twitter where she kind of offers an insight that I certainly don't have. But... because not just in terms of the wrestlers she likes, Jules, we have plenty of disagreements on that one, friendly ones. But she made a point about how big a draw Hangman Page is with women, not just because he's a piece, but, like, shockingly, different demographics like different things. going with John Cena for women and children was, how many? 2/3 of your audience rather than 1/3. It was pretty smart, right? Shawn Michaels in the 1990s. Yeah, the blokes aren't going to like him. Nope. Right, there's 50 other guys for blokes, right there. Hangman Page gets these reactions in buildings and this is me talking. I don't ever buy into this main character thing, and lots of people do. Sidge does. He's not the main character, I don't think. He's also not top star, I don't think. I'm one guy. Loads of people receive him as AEW's top guy, the jewel in the crown. The reason for it all to be, and when only so much stuff is clicking, pivot to your safe bets.
Yes.
And I think it's time to get,
I agree,
wherever you're going with Hangman Page, get there faster.
Anyway, backstage, Switchblade Jay Watt says 2025 didn't exactly start the way he wanted. He's not the AEW World Champion. He would have been, but Wheeler Yuta cost him his moments. So he's going to show Yuta how he feels because words won't do it justice. He's going to win the triple threat tonight and get the top spot in next week's Casino Gauntlet to get his way back to the world title and John Moxley, basically. And Swerve and Strong are going to breathe with the Switchblade.
He was like the top 2 or 3 booked babyface on this show when the main event featured 3 babyfaces effectively wrestling a hometown benefit match.
Yeah.
And Switchblade Jay White, based on what he said he was going to do, how the events of the night played out, and the consequence of his actions played out, was booked incredibly strong. Again, considering that he's the other loser from the 4-way. In your first 2 segments, you have squared away the 3 losers of a main event and sent them off elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's good booking.
Then we got the tag match, the Acclaimed versus the Hurt Syndicate. As they were making their entrance, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Caster holds up a sign that says "Bowens will be fine," and we get the pre-recorded comments where it's all going to end in tears.
They can't even get through the pre-recorded interview without rowing. You've got Max Caster on the big screen covering his mouth because Anthony Bowens has told him not to rap and take things seriously.
You hit me with the title deliberately, or no?
You and I are people that do not
get focused.
You don't like conflict. We're not conflict people. Like the passive aggressiveness in this whole deal makes you feel sick.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable.
Just Bowens being like, go on, do your best wrestler alive shtick. I'm really excited to see what happens with
too.
both of them.
Yeah,
and Anthony Bowens is going to be a really intriguing singles guy, I reckon.
Yeah.
And they can't even settle on who starts the match.
No.
To which they turn around. Bobby Lashley's already running at them. He runs them both over. They talk to MVP on commentary whilst they're getting destroyed, basically, about Caster having a business card. MVP saying, no, Max took too long to answer, and the boys don't want him either.
Yep.
And I think as we go to a break, possibly, or maybe just as they're talking on commentary and I'm distracted, Caster just keeps getting chucked into the barricade by Shelton Benjamin. Bowens is just looking. Finally gets over the Bowens hot tag, who does look great in there. Enough of that. Blind tag back in, to which Bowens is like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? And he gets suplexed all over the place, does Max Caster by Shelton Benjamin. And Bowens is like, well, you're the best wrestler alive, you might as well crack on, mate. And he just jumps off the apron and watches him get destroyed. Bobby Lashley comes in, spear, spinebuster, hurt lock. Bowen says, Max Caster, you're not the best wrestler alive, you're a selfish asshole. And he leaves.
An angle more than a match.
Yeah.
But a really good one and a really interesting one for me. Lots to praise about this. We all know what it represents when the wrestler drops off the apron in the tag. Like, that's almost the cardinal sin, isn't it? You can stay on the apron, you can shorthand them a little bit, you can tag yourself in and not really want it. But like, you could argue here, and it's important that you can argue this, that what Bowens did was worse than what Caster did. Caster going for the hot tag might have been self-involved and a bit sort of like, I want back in, I'm taking this, I'm going to ruin this advantage we've got. But he's doing it in his mind, pure heart rule of, right, I'll have some wrestling now. And it's gone wrong for him because of his hubris. Bowens knows he is contributing to the defeat. So they're very different motivations. He is either trying to teach Caster a lesson or he's just outright sick of him, and it's just sad to watch, but you're supposed to feel these feelings. So I think that was super effective. It's economical because the Hurt Syndicate, I don't know if you're aware, hurt people. And they're physically hurting people while laying a hurting on the very foundation of the Acclaimed, as they've done since day one when MVP handed over the card. It wasn't the genesis of the like lack of trust and the breakdown of the Acclaimed, but it certainly didn't help it. So,
Either Max or Bowens in the Hurt Syndicate is so exciting.
and this is it, right? Because MVP, I think it's really interesting that MVP has now torn up the card of Ricochet and rescinded the offer to Max Caster on a week where you could suddenly make arguments for both of them getting back in. And we'll get into how these two things might overlap later on. Or I could just be spotting a red herring. But
yeah.
we said from the beginning, did we not, that Bowens would be the cooler outcome here? Mm-hmm. Remember, like, it's Caster thinking he's the big I am, but Bowens all along has been proving himself the better member, and MVP is interested in talent, not in talk. So in he comes. So it remains, it's one of those great wrestling payoffs where it's not a mystery other than the last detail.
Yes.
And that's kind of what you want to be able to predict without, and then you're not going to be surprised, but you're going to be shocked.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you want to watch. Hurt Syndicate continue to just raw in AEW. This act is just singing right now. Like, when it's not directly, like, they effectively, all the Hurt Syndicate did here on this Dynamite was have a match. But you could, and I will, argue their involvement tacitly in like 3 other things, and the Acclaimed split is one of them.
Swerve gets his promo before the triple threat now with Prince Nana, obviously, and Alex Marvez. He apologizes to the fans who chant his name because he's been distracted recently, but that changes tonight. 2025, just like 2024, will be Swerve's house. And he mentions, I've never been in a Casino Gauntlet before. Do you know why that is? It's because, of course, he was world champion. And Nana wishes everyone a happy new year before dancing off.
Not even naming the frivolity that had distracted him was lovely foreshadowing of what was to come. Mm-hmm. The idea that this is a man that does bad things, even when they're trivial, and refuses to acknowledge that there might be consequences. Like, look what happened when you went in a man's house, right? If that's the extreme of you go in a man's house, that man eventually finds a way to torch your house to the ground. What's the consequence of you having this guy covered in toilet paper, as what happened to Ricochet at World's End? It's like you are continuing to not think about which way this might work out for you. You don't even name him. You don't even give Trev the dignity of naming why you've been maybe like off-piste a little bit of late. Love that.
I also did see the clip of Okada slapping Ricochet on his bald head.
Did. The Rainmaker taking one from Simon Miller there. It was a great spot.
Then the only women's match on this card occurred in the first hour. It was Julia Hart versus Jamie Hayter. Hart's first match back since April, I believe, with the shoulder injury. And Hart wastes no time in just yanking Jamie Hayter around by a hair. Hart wanted a crossbody off the apron, gets caught. Hayter wanted a suplex on the steps, but Hart floated over and slammed Hayter back first on the steps as we go to a break. When we come back, Jamie Hayter makes a comeback. Missed a lariat, but hit the hate breaker, but takes too long after getting a 2 count to follow that one up. And that allows Julia Hart to put her in Heartless, but Hayter powers up to her feet. Hart tries a crucifix, but Hayter hits a DVD on the knee and a sliding lariat for 2. She wants a superplex, but Hart sweeps out the leg, and Hayter's left clutching her rib cage. Hart pulls out an arrow, as has been seen in all the promotional stuff. The rest, like, you can't use an arrow. That's a note for CM Punk for Monday night, of course. And obviously the ref busying themselves with getting rid of the arrow. Misses Hart, misting Jamie Hayter to get the 1, 2, 3.
We've talked about this before. There is not many a worse feeling than rooting for a match to get good and it not really happening. Like, we're fans of both here, aren't we?
Yeah.
And do you know what? And I think that's the problem. What scanned to me as interesting and quite bold matchmaking was in fact an error. And I can't really hold Tony Khan's feet to the fire on that one, because I think we were all praising that this was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
The graphic looks good. They're like, hey, you're going to have to commit to one of them here. Nobody can really lose this, but one of them's got to. How's that going to play out? Like, what's that going to mean for them? If this is an AEW that is high functioning, I was talking to you about how I think it is imperative that after she has lost yet again to Mercedes Moné, the loss that Chris Statlander has suffered becomes huge as part of
absolutely.
She's Hangman Page, having lost again, all the way back. It's like, right, you have to tell a story now, a road back to the top, and how difficult that is, and how people are so invested in her that they're going to help power her through. And whatever it is, whatever story they tell it. Don't just have her lose again in another great match that's massively elevated one of your top stars, only to just be like, oh, I'll see you in 6 months when it becomes your turn again. Are they in grave danger of doing what I've just described to Jamie Hayter?
Yeah.
Like, I think everything that has happened to Jamie Hayter since returning is one of the reasons why this match failed. Because, yeah, the work wasn't great and there was obvious chemistry issues. But how often are chemistry issues ignored when the crowd are hot and the characters are invested?
Exactly.
You can definitely get through those things. And on paper, on the graphic, Jamie Hayter as this, like, if she wins this, and we joke, if she wins this, she's kind of got to be in title contention, right? But she's facing Julia Hart, somebody that has returned with a great deal of momentum from these awesome video packages, and she can't lose straight away, can she? Like, that was a great amount of tension. And as a result, when the match hasn't gone great, and the finish only invites you to wait for the rematch to get the real outcome, I don't think this was a success. Like, Julia Hart is, and Julia Hart's not a heel. The House of Black are not heels.
Yeah.
They're not, like, whatever they are now, they're not straight up bad guys. And ultimately, Julia Hart probably needed a heel to wrestle.
Yeah.
And even if she was cheating to win with the mist, it would almost be like with the devilish glint. I'm back. I've won.
Yeah.
People have underestimated what I can do because I'm so young, but the house always wins, and this is how we do it. Like, Jamie Hayter getting beaten by it is just another, like, I just not like you as much anymore. Can I not back you like I used to? Fans back winners, and both in terms of a defeat like this and how she's been kind of like confined a bit to the weekend shows. I don't think Jamie Hayter has come back feeling like a winner.
Same. We get a video package on what happened with Ospreay and Fletcher and that rivalry and World's End, Full Gear, etc. And we see the finals of the Continental Classic, Okada versus Ospreay from the weekend, of course, and the return of Kenny Omega. He's coming back next week. Very excited to get Sidge's thoughts on Omega on next week's Dynamite ahead of, what was it, Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, like, this is not just Kenny returning to AEW, is it? It's Kenny returning post whatever happens at Wrestle Dynasty.
Yeah, kick his ass, Gabe.
Kick his ass, Kenny. And obviously, what felt like the all-in, main event just booked at World's End. You put them
Don't mess about now, Kenny's back. Stop messing about.
Put them two men in front of that banner, a building in which you need to sell some tickets, and you present the match that is the biggest ticket seller you have on your books. There's nothing bigger than...
Okada told him to stay out of his way, bitch, in a package after that, talking about being the best tournament wrestler alive.
Tremendous. Yeah. The feud is inbuilt. That's Okada, by the way, doing like the short video package version of First Try. You know, there's that level of arrogance of like, yes, you beat me for the title in our fourth match, but who do you think you are? Have you forgotten what I've done to you first? That kind of thing, you know?
Then it was time for Mercedes.
Money.
This is New Year's celebration. They plugged the Wrestle Dynasty match that's going on this weekend, of course, with Mina Shirakawa, and Mercedes says, Asheville!
Sorry, I must have... Who's she facing?
It's the New Japan Strong Women's title match against Mina Shirakawa.
Thank you very much. New year, old you.
Yeah.
I don't want any changes.
I've text the boys. I popped myself rewatching. Not my bit. It was Sidge's bit of Secret Banter this year about falling down on their knees to worship. I think it was Mariah May.
Oh God, a moment actually, because we didn't get to end that podcast.
No, we had to nip out.
Did.
Yeah, just me. Yeah,
me and Sidge couldn't, like, we popped to the toilet with you, and then you disappeared, and we were like, well, we're just in the toilet together, and then we come out the toilet, and you'd be like, oh, finish the podcast.
I did a bit of a Christmas prank. I snapped the locks off the toilet.
That was what he did, and then he was like, you won't believe who just went in the studio while you were in the toilet. We were like, who? The collision cops met Stacks, apparently. But the response to that, it's not just one of our favourite things to record for how gross and stupid it is.
I've missed those comments.
Well, yeah, a bit. What I never miss are the comments that people leave us on Twitter and even in the YouTube comments. But a lot of people reached out over that Secret Banter episode, and thank you very much, because it is nice that a really stupid thing can you bring some people together on Christmas Day of all days. Yeah. It's like I make this joke about joke about digestives in the toilet. I think a lot of people have a different biscuits in the bog element of Christmas, even if it's just in small doses.
Yeah.
And if we are filling that gap with that specific brand of nonsense, I could not be more grateful, earnestly.
Chocolate hobnobs for me this year.
Was it?
Yeah.
Ritz biscuits.
Yeah.
Love them. We ran out of bread one day. We had some ciabattas that I was saving for. I made some like ciabatta and mozzarella and salmon.
Nice.
Posh cheese on toast.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying. It's putting stuff on bread instead of putting stuff in bread.
Yeah.
But as a result, I had no bread to put my stuff in. Right, had some spare. I bought some fancy Dane sausages for breakfast, like different mix and match stuff. Ran out of bread. I cut the sausage in half. That's cutting the sausage in half, kind Thai style, and used 2 Ritz biscuits with sausage in. It's like a Hamflett vol au vent.
Yes.
Crunch, soft crunch. Like, it was great.
Sounds good.
Put stuff in Ritz biscuits is a new addition. Little asterisk next
We don't
to
do
it.
Ritz.
We are back. We're f***ing back. I'm better than ever. Got a neck, talking shit forever. Face facts, cause your opinion don't matter. A f***ing sticker ain't gonna settle forever.
Asheville, say hello to your CEO. The greatest TBS champion, she's Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah,
the
apparently
greatest TBS champion to ever exist. What 2024? I got Colorado to put together this package for me.
Yeah, I did.
And yeah, she's fantastic. Sports Illustrated top matches. Hazuki in New Japan, of course. You haven't seen anything yet. What's the start in 2025? Well, Mina Chicago's got something I want. She wants the Ref Pro Championship. Money changes everything.
Was it? I get why, by the way. Was this the only, including Omega,
Yeah, the only reference.
to wrestle Dynasty Dynasty? I get it. You had choices to make here, didn't you? Like, you have choices to make. Is it Fallout from World's End? Is it go home to wrestle Dynasty Dynasty? Is it AEW debuts on Max simulcast?
Oh, God, yeah.
There's Grand Slams in Australia. There's a lot, right? And I think they picked a lane. And
Maximum Overdrive in 2 weeks.
Asheville fundraiser.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different lanes, and they picked a couple. And Wrestle Dynasty Dynasty wasn't really one of them, other than Mercedes here. But
I genuinely forgot it was happening.
yeah. However, if you sort of fold in the fact they were doing a bit of promotion for an entirely different pay-per-view.
Do you reckon they thought that wrestling fans are stupid if you said, don't forget Dynasty's this weekend? Dynasty this weekend? I thought it was...
You joke. Maybe they thought wrestling fans were too stupid to kind of collate about 6 different things that need addressing. This was like... Mercedes promo was only okay. But again, I would absolutely...
I was waiting for the interruption, then I remembered, she got a title match already, yeah.
I would have absolutely booked this all the same, because what an effective video package to tell the story that things are starting to cook. Like, her second half of the year.
Yeah.
Not even second half. When was All In? August.
Yeah.
The last 3 months of the year.
Yeah.
Substantially better than the prior 7. Like, 7? When would she come back from injury? Am I getting my maths even right? March? April?
Yeah, something like that sounds about right.
Let's be fair.
Yeah.
4 pretty terrible months. 4 months where she was still off. 4 pretty terrible months. 4 pretty great ones. But we're at the end of this 4 pretty great months and the start of a new year. Flex. Absolutely talk about being the best, because for the first time, it's not feeling like a lie anymore.
Yes,
it's not
that's the
feeling like
thing.
you're not trying to work me. You're not trying to sell me a bill of goods. You are selling Pro Wrestling Illustrated praise. You are selling critical acclaim. She's on, not on fire, but she's on a roll.
Yes.
Talk about that. It's great.
Absolutely. We get a lovely video package with all the Fight for the Fallen stuff, of course. American Red Cross, the other charities, Hurricane Helene Relief, Dax presenting a nice check. That was lovely to see. And then we go backstage with Undisputed, whatever they're called now. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. The Undisputed Kingdom is complete, says Adam Cole. They've got it all covered. Trios, tag team, singles, triple threats, O'Reilly says. Strong says, I couldn't say it any better. Tonight, I'm going to win the match. But remember next week, it's every man for himself.
Gone off Taven and Bennett, have you? Wasn't it weird that they weren't there?
Yeah.
Is that just me? I get the point they were trying to make is these are the core 3 from the Undisputed era. And, they're probably going to visit Bobby Fish at weekends and whatever home he's in.
And I mean, Folks, where's the lie?
Talk Hackenschmidt to him, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I get that. But considering that you put the 5 of them together and didn't do any kind of, it was, if anything, it was a swerve that there wasn't a turn. It was just, they're like, I mean, they were having the cake and eating it too, MJF won. But the 5 of them couldn't get it done. Losers. But I'm trying. I love Adam Cole. I'm trying so much. But it's not the best start, is it?
No.
We're like the Death Riders, but we're much cooler. And we're younger, but we're not that young anymore. And we're not broken down, except we kind of are. Where's this going to go?
We never win the big one.
I don't know. Jury's out.
Yeah,
but God, I love Adam Cole. And I hope this takes. Yeah.
But yeah, Strong went immediately from this, obviously, to that triple threat featuring Swerve and Switchblade Jay White.
I thought triple threat was this outlawed thing as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 3-way. Sorry.
No, not you. But
I know, but
they said it. It's. Do you know what I love? Willow Nightingale tweeted this once. I love the bird. For all it's done, and some of the things it hasn't. But Titantron to a generation of people is just a word for a big screen.
Yeah.
They weren't alive when there was such a thing as a Jumbotron, and they definitely weren't alive when WWE was Titan Sports. So they don't know that that's a portmanteau. Yeah. They're just like, you seen that Titantron at the football? All right.
Yeah.
Tannoy, Hoover, Titantron.
Big 3.
The bird.
We got Jay White, Swerve, and Roddy Strong. There was a nice pop when White gets sent outside, as does Strong, and Swerve hit a backflip over onto Jay White to a nice pop. And then White got thrown onto Swerve to take us to a break. When we come back, Swerve's dominating, powerbomb Strong into White in the corner, powerbomb into a power slam on Jay White, goes for a rolling flatliner, but Strong counters into a code breaker on Strickland, an angle slam and a tiger driver on Jay White, gets 2. Standing Swerve stomp on Strong, but he missed the house call. White wanted a Blade Runner, but Swerve hit the rolling flatliner. He wants a Swerve stomp, but Strong cuts him off. White rolls to the floor and Swerve's like, I'm going to go after Roderick Strong. Pump kick to him on the apron, walks the barricade, hit another one on White, and then here comes Ricochet. He just nails Swerve in the head with a golden pair of scissors and just stares at him. He's got a white shirt on because, of course, he has. Swerve's about to bleed a gusher. Strong and White are like, right, let's get this match finished so these two can sort themselves out. White hit a Blade Runner to get the 1-2-3. He is the number 1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet next week. But let's be honest, we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about Ricochet and Swerve. Swerve is, covered in blood already. Ricochet steps over the barricade, threatens Nana with the scissors. He also hit him with a chair, I think, at one point to keep him away. That was after, driving the scissors repeatedly into the head of Swerve, coating his own shirt in his blood, laughing maniacally. That was when Nana tried to wrestle a chair away from Ricochet and took a chair shot in the process. So Ricochet puts Swerve on the chair, hits the Spirit Gun, and then here comes the Undisputed Kingdom to make the save as Ricochet bails, laughing his head off.
Yeah. Not a lot to add to your great recap of the match other than to say part of what Jay White's stated aims were of this evening were achieved. And we'd see the other half of that achieved later on too. And that's how you book a effective babyface, especially after a high-profile defeat. So spot on. And then we talk about this as well. It's weird that the first spot is an advantage in the Casino Gauntlet.
Yeah.
But obviously very quickly it isn't. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jay White navigates that as the number 1 entrant in it next week. So I like that. The Ricochet attack, man. He's having a hell of a month, Ricochet, from the basically the week where he wrestled that match where he was destined to get boos, and he did. Was it Brody King?
I think so.
And it turned out that was obviously week 1 of this turn. This project, I guess. And then it was like, you know what? Now he's going to be a heel, just like he was when he attacked Zack Sabre Jr. in a suit of all things, weeks earlier when he was still a babyface. That's going to be neat and tidy for January the 5th. But then it becomes far more about what's happening for him in AEW instead. He has his Hurt Syndicate invite very violently rescinded. He's got image of him by the throat, and then they start doing I made the comparison of R-Truth and Judgment Day. Sid didn't like that, but like maybe the sort of more generous one was the Jimmy Uso in the Bloodline one, where there is a role for a clown figure. Maybe that'll be Ricochet, or maybe it's both, because he was really effective here in up until the move on the chair was a very like unfinessed attack. It wasn't about putting him into a position to do something like airy. Like Ricochet can beat you down on the floor any way he wants. Stabbing you with scissors is something anyone could do. And Ricochet went for that instead because it was quick and it was deadly and it was effective. And yeah, he dressed the part for it. His acting was completely over the top, but it looked like somebody that had snapped. And I think that's key to this because the toilet roll stuff built off the back of a Hammerstein bit, which maybe now was that a working toilet roll? Was it a plant bomb roll? Maybe it was to get us to here. Nice business if so, right? If somebody in the crowd, if that was somebody from AEW hoying that in to create the visual for it in order for Swerve to think, I'll do it. Like, if you've done that, that's really, really cool stuff to get to where we are now. Because nobody would have, like, a toilet roll hits Ricochet at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Nobody goes from that to Ricochet stabbing Swerve Hart to death with scissors, do they? But that's how we get there with this story. So really nicely played out. And in the meantime, could this be the pieces of the torn Hurt Syndicate thing getting sellotaped back together by an MVP? It was like, I quite like the cut of that jib. I'll take that. Like, we've been trying to get Swerve as much as possible, and you've shown that you can do that and you're willing to choose violence over anything else. You hurt people. That's what we do. In you come, actually. Furthermore, could the specific use of scissors be to tease the arrival of Max Castro or Anthony Bowens as the next member of the group, and the way you keep scissoring as part of that wrestler's hors d'oeuvre? It's food.
Yeah.
It's not right. Otra is to have scissors now be a weapon rather than the thing that you would once, like whichever Bowens or Castro joins the group and they use scissors as a weapon.
Because scissors beats paper in RPS.
That was the next point I was going to make, and you took the words right out of my mouth, so thank you for
Ricochet.
Our train of thoughts just gone derailed off into the track and gone through a village.
Oh, an absolutely world-class game of charades on Christmas Eve, by the way.
Does such a thing exist?
Yeah, because my parents are insane.
Okay.
So
right.
I'm gonna do my best. I didn't see this live, but I had it recreated in a spectacular fashion by my wife.
This is good because it's going to drive people to YouTube to have to watch the video. Even if you're listening to this now, check the timestamp and I heard the laughter as I was putting Eric down from downstairs. Okay.
Like a room full of people laughing. Right. This isn't. You're not guessing the name of the film that this is based on.
Film.
It was part of a film. You just have to try and think what this represents. My mum, right, for one of the 3 words in this film.
3 words.
Did this. Right? What's that?
Egyptian.
Exactly what I said. Thank you. Completely wrong.
Right.
The other thing she did was this.
Oh, that's either Get Out or like a hitchhiker, maybe.
All wrong. You now will see where my brain comes from with regards to this podcast.
I want to get this now from being so wrong. I'm desperate to piece some of it together.
You'll never get it because I didn't either. The film,
3 words.
yes, was The History Boys, right? This
What's that?
is a dinosaur, Michael Hamflett. That is history.
I mean, history's I don't know how you illustrate history in
You've got to break it down. That's the season pros will think, right, well, what are we doing with that? Hello, straight away. That's easy.
So, you know what you could...
Boys, it's a 50-50 split in that room. You point at the men and waggle your finger at the women.
You could have some fun here because you could, like... If there's somebody that's a bit of a known Tory in the family, you could split up history, and then you could point at that person, and then like point at yourself and go,
exactly.
You're doing a vote or something, and then somebody. the person that shouts Tory goes, hey, Uncle Knobhead's a Tory. But, oh yeah, you could do dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
Egyptian dinosaur.
Tell you, charades around the Wilbourn house.
Gypsosaurus. I hate charades. Charades? Charades?
I don't know.
It's like a scone
Dynasty all over again. I thought we got away from that for a bit.
Yeah. It did. Nope, January 5th.
Yeah. I love this.
Tremendous attack. They have absolutely nailed this Ricochet turn. He is a revived and refreshed version of... He's Ricochet, but now it's not about what kind of quality of a match he's going to have. And if you're talking about trying to rehab people, they are probably going to book Ricochet versus Adam Cole. I would argue that was Ricochet's best WWE match ever, the one they had at TakeOver. I don't think they're capable of that again, but at very least, Ricochet winning that this time around in a similar fashion, like a heel way than he beat him the first time, I think could really help his further credentials. Cole, don't know.
No, me neither.
Well, again, should Ricochet join the Hurt Syndicate, the Undisputed Kingdom becomes a stable from to feud with.
I do remember during the Pando, we were doing one of our live streams, and I think I can.
I think I know what you're going to say.
And Phil was in charge of it, but Phil had to nip out to walk the dog.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm looking at a Zoom call on my computer, as is Nicholas, which is going through Phil's computer to the channel.
Yeah.
Phil's like, I ain't going to do anything for an hour. I'll take the dog out for a walk. Somehow, Summit breaks and the stream's still going out. You can still see us, but the audio's gone.
Yeah.
But we have no power to end the stream. So we're just stuck.
On camera.
On camera. I don't know if we could hear each other. I think we could still hear each other, but everyone watching couldn't hear what we're saying.
Yeah.
So we had a game of wrestling charades.
Yes, because I've got an image in my head of Nicholas doing the Pete Dunne pose with just a shoot belt rather than a wrestling belt in his mouth. So he's got like just a belt hanging from his teeth.
Do you want me to do one of the ones that I did for you?
Yes.
Okay. That's wrestler.
All right. Oh, nice. That's good. Yeah, wrestler. One word.
Okay.
And one name. One name. Kick. The bait. Snitsky. Ah, good. I was thinking Austin Theory, not Grayson Waller at first, and I was like, Waller, was he called Waller for a bit in there?
I wouldn't be surprised.
But no. Yeah. Very good.
There we go. Right. We come back from a break, and Alex Marvez is there with Jay Lethal and Sanjay and Satnam. They haven't heard from Jeff all day. Had this been teased? Have I just missed this?
Yeah, there was a...
I was watching this going, what do you mean Jeff Jarrett's retiring?
They did it like Jeff Jarrett will address his future type.
Did he work World's End? Did he do kickoff?
Worked the undercard. Yeah, the kickoff, yeah.
Against like QT Marshall, I think I read that.
That was it, yeah. I didn't actually see that. I bet that was decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karen comes in. They're all there to support him, whatever, 100%. She says, look, this business is what brought us together. It's what's broken you at times. But she gives him she's with him, basically. She gives him his wrestling boots and he walks off. And before we get to the announcement, there was a Mariah May promo saying how great she is. Everyone else is busy faking injuries, failing auditions, and not remembering who they are. I leave a trail of broken hearts, bodies, and minds, whilst everyone doesn't realise how good I am. I am the epic, she says. It's time for others to prove themselves. I'm the woman from hell. You can't touch me, but I'd love to see you try.
Good promo. This character is well established at this point as like a kind of a unique danger in that she will go further than you realise to keep that belt. And I love the bit at the start of the promo where they do the bit where like, oh, the AEW Women's Division is so great, right? I've got that out of the way. Like this idea that like at the moment the division is on message in the same way that like you kind of have to, like with the Death Riders where they're fighting for the soul of AEW, like that's her out front saying, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm the champion. It's a bit like the Hurt Syndicate saying, I don't care about the soul of AEW. You want to win titles and cash checks. I like that for Mariah May as well.
So Jeff comes down to the ring. There's a guitar set up there, of course. Wishes everyone a slappy new year.
Yes.
Talks about many things he's got to be thankful for in his career. But it's sad to think about things coming to an end. But when he does that, he thinks about how it all began. Talks about his grandmother selling wrestling tickets and changing his family's lives forever. Talks about high-risk, high-reward decisions getting her in the business and his dad becoming a wrestler and the promotion in Tennessee and 86 when Jeff gets in the industry and starting his own promotion in 2002, which has developed some of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But is it time for the last outlaw to ride off into the sunset? Hang on, I think I've got what's going through Michael Hamflett's brain as he says that.
No! 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 No!
But yes, the answer is no. When you take the biggest risk, you get the biggest reward.
Oh! Teachable moment!
So he signed his very last wrestling contract with AEW. He's going to have one more ride. He wants AEW Gold. Biggest risk of his career is entering the gauntlet next week. His New Year's resolution is to become AEW World Champion. Not tag, not trios, none of that. World Champion in AEW.
Oh my God.
Right. I'll be a small criticism of the segment at first, because then obviously I'm going to shower it with praise. It didn't really do the what's he going to say? Not a single second of watching this, from the backstage segment to the graphic drop in the days before to Jeff being in the ring with the boots like on the ground, having been around his neck and the guitar there almost as like an effigy. Did I think Jeff Jarrett was a child?
No.
Not a single time. So in that respect, was it perfect? No. Is Jeff Jarrett perfect? Still, yes, as I've been saying all along. He proved last year that if there was one thing he maybe couldn't do, oh no, actually he can, which is be in this era an earnest baby.
Yes.
Like Jeff Jarrett came in and remember when he first arrived and I was the only one that actually liked it. Most people were like, oh, this is kind of weird. And if anything, it's a bit icky because he's got this reputation. But like we can all enjoy that, like, he's a cunt. It's what Jeff Jarrett does. He'd refereed at SummerSlam a few weeks before that. You know,
yes.
This is only Jeff Jarrett can be Jeff Jarrett and do this. But don't make him last. And then the fact that Sid loved the phrase "Carney succubus," that was the center of the heat. So that would, like, the mere idea of him laying his hands on an AEW championship as a heel was this brilliant device for things like the tag match against FTR that we loved.
Mm-hmm.
And all the comedy stuff he would do. And it was like, well, yeah, like, here are all the strings to Jeff Jarrett's bow, no pun intended. And then it turns out, no, he still can be an earnest babyface open. They built that out of nowhere with the Owen thing last year, because the best promos in the business are like, it's a form is temporary, class is permanent deal with Jeff Jarrett. They're going to try it all the way, baby. They're going to try and get this as far as they can possibly carry it. And Jeff Jarrett is the person you trust to do that. Is he going to win next week? Probably not. But now it becomes like a losing version of the Sting run. How many times can he lose in attempting to achieve this seemingly insurmountable goal before he finally wins just enough to get his fingertips near it? Is it going to be the Owen this year? And will he lose in the final? You know, when it almost looks like all in Dallas, cowboy country, for Jeff Jarrett on a night when it's probably going to be Omega Okada and like a double main event. So you could run Jeff Jarrett getting a title match in a stadium in Texas. God, I am like, tears are starting to form in my eyes. You could do it. You could absolutely buy him getting to the final of the Owen and losing. And then if he loses in the final of the Owen, well, who is the person that beats him? The heat they're going to get that title shot. However this plays out, maybe you want a Revolution title contender. Maybe you want one of these many TV specials or whatever it is. Maybe you want Jeff Jarrett as a number one contender, and then what a night it will be, especially if it's a heel, when John Moxley gets that guitar around his head, for example.
Yes.
What a 2 count that is going to be. Like, the potential of how you build this up. Like, if it is, I don't think Darby Allin's winning this belt. I've changed my mind. But it's not because of Jeff Jarrett. It's because of I'm starting to see things differently with this Moxley run. But if it is Darby, how did Jeff Jarrett arrive in AEW? He wrapped the guitar around Darby Allin's head and bust him open. And what if Darby's like, I'm not going to hold this belt hostage in a briefcase like John Moxley did. I'll listen, I'll watch. And a legend having his final run is what made me the man I am. You got your match.
Wow.
Hit me with a guitar on your first night. You tried to make a name on Darby Allin. Like, I'll beat you, old man. I'm not afraid to. And, you know, like there's your match, and it's an all babyface thing. And what's that even look like? Like Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett for the AEW World title. Like, you just cough and drop into a guitar. It's
Into
all
a guitar case.
And then he closes the guitar case, and Darby Allin's in it. He throws the guitar case. Like, so it's suspiciously big. So why is that a guitar case for a double bass? Shut up. Like this is overflowing with possibilities, isn't it? Overflowing with possibilities.
Really exciting stuff. We get highlights of the Hook and his ongoing feud with the Patriarchy. And he cuts a promo saying just because he beat Cage in a luxury box and beat his son doesn't mean he's done with Christian Cage and the Patriarchy. Next time he sees me, he's going to choke his ass out. And that's going to happen at Maximum Carnage.
Mm-hmm. Done and dusted in a couple of weeks, it would seem. So no bad thing, right?
Yeah.
We want to see the back of it. Christian Cage was also present in the four-way, looking on at World's End. So they're refusing to drop that he is a clear and present danger to the world title, even if, is he? It's like...
Yeah. And we got poor John Cruz and Rob Killjoy getting murked by Powerhouse Hobbs. And they pushed Tease, obviously, in the gauntlet as well.
Again, just a rehab win, having lost his match against Takeshita.
Alex Marvez is chatting with Big Bill and Brian Keith. Where's Chris Jericho, he says. Bill's like, well, North Carolina's great. Keith says, it's 8. And he's like, yeah, it's 8. Jericho's not coming through, though. Who should be more embarrassed? FTR for being from Asheville or the fans of FTR? And Brian Keith says, rated R, dumbass. Brilliant again, Brian Keith.
Chris Jericho is such a thumb on these two men's foreheads, isn't he? Because them being allowed to bounce off something Jericho said rather than simply exist. I was just like, oh, maybe Big Bill's not dead. He was great again. Brian Keith has kind of gotten over in this role, but already doesn't need Jericho to do the funny bits. He's the funny, straight guy, but there is no second person required. No. Brian Keith's doing both.
Adam Copeland's just good one. How about we kick your ass on Collision? And then he does the whole bye guys thing.
He goes, rated R, dumbass. You got a dumb face.
That was it.
I was into it. I had a cope week this week. I really did. Maybe that should be interpreted a different way. But
off in the copium.
Yeah, but this worked for me. There was a point when rated R, FTR, who would it was that wrestling thing that were right there. What?
Right here.
It's like me talking to you. It's like, you know what I'm sick of? Adam Wilbourn.
It's like your dumb face.
The rated FTR game was
lush, nice,
wasn't it? It was so nice.
Before we get to that match, though, there was an MJF video backstage post-match at World's End congratulating Adam Cole on his win. Oh, wait a second. He didn't win. You lost. But thankfully, mercifully, the chapter of Better Than You, baby, has come to a close. Now it's time for... Brilliant. Dijak's coming in. Oh, no. He's getting back the Triple B, something that was taken from him without actually losing. It's been paraded around in a briefcase. Says to Mox, what's a king to a god? No one's on the level of the devil, something Mox should know very well. I don't care if you burn AEW to the ground because in 2025, the devil gets his due, part 2.
Let me know, both yourself and people that listen to this podcast, if this is just a feeling shared by me and other people weren't as enthusiastic about this. I say this when we talk about WWE all the time. Yes, I want to watch the actual matches it builds to, but I want to be able to speculate on the matches and I want to be able to speculate how we're going to get there. I was frigging just on this very podcast talking about, we're probably going to get Ricochet, Adam Cole. Do I want it? Not loads, but I like it as a potential plot development. And it's nice to think about all the wrestlers interacting again and who might be moving on. I just talked about Darby Allin coffin dropping a cello case so that Jeff Jarrett can lock it shut. I just want to think about permutations and potential matches and the stuff that you could do in those matches. And MJF, as he's done before, by the way, cutting this as he's literally basking in the glow of a victory. He's done these in the past and they're always really effective. Just calling out John Moxley. Yes. I want to think about MJF actually wanting that belt back.
Yeah, I don't care about what you do with AEW. You can do what you like with it.
Get that belt back, or at least try. And if somebody else interrupts along the way, fight them as well. And the idea that he gets to sort of pat himself on the back and told you he was a dictator. That's nice how that he's been able to fold that in and be the MJF beat him for the belt in the first place. Mm-hmm. So who else has got a better shout on being who could solve this problem? The guy that's already solved it once before, back when you didn't even think it was a problem, but I did actually. Great. It's probably not for now, is it?
No.
Why would MJF not call his shot? That's what the stars do, is they're always looking for the title, and then occasionally something gets in the way. But the idea that he's put that back out there means that down the line, there will be discussions over him and that belt. Great.
Main event time it was. The Death Riders, Mox, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta with Marina Shafir against Rated FTR, that being Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and the Rated R superstar Cope.
The way you were teeing that up was making me want to go for Cope. But yeah, Cope.
Cope.
It's fine. It's, as well, wrestling name rule applies here. You are used to any old
yes.
in like 3 weeks.
Oh, easily, yeah. I remember saying distinctly, maybe not said this on the video, but I definitely said it in the office. I'm not saying premium live event. It's a pay-per-view. PLE has just become part of the lexicon, hasn't it?
There is nobody more powerful in a creative role in all of wrestling at the moment than my good friend Triple. You know, like you just
try.
You tell them try. You just say stuff.
Yeah.
It's wrestling, man. They just say stuff for a bit, and then it's like, oh, that's the thing now. We've said it for years.
I do love when you just get introduced to someone and you're like on a stag do or whatever, and then like you're at the wedding afterwards, and like, oh, you know him, don't you? He was on the stag do with you. Introduce me. This is my wife, Anne Louise. This is Gherkin. I don't know what his name is. You know, you're just like, I don't know, I can't actually know what your actual name is. I'm Steve, everyone calls me, Spud or whatever.
Lad I went to school with was called Babsy, but it was a pre-existing nickname. It was a secondary school where a bunch of schools sort of came together. His name was James Armstrong, only that wasn't even his actual name because his first name was Kevin Armstrong, but he liked his middle name more, so went by James Armstrong. And you're thinking to yourself, how is any of that linked to Babsy? I don't f***ing know, and I never will.
No.
But that's who he was from day one to when we all left school, Babsy.
Do you think they ever bump into someone who's got this, like, I know one Spud, but I know Spud is a nickname that...
Yeah, a lot of people have, yeah.
You're like, oh, my name's Mark, but everyone calls me Spud. Everyone calls me Spud. Oh, my God.
Imagine like a Tinder date where like you both got the same nickname amongst your friends, and then it's going to be like, oh, they're not going to believe this. Like, if it's clicking, that's a pretty cool icebreaker, isn't it? We're on a date tonight, oh, you're not going to believe what they're called, and then that's...
Spud.
A couple of Spuds. Just do a potato-themed wedding.
My favourite one I heard was a group of lads, and it's very much, don't take this too seriously, it's very much sort of gallows humour amongst friends. Okay. They had a friend called Keth, whose actual name was Keith, but only had he was missing an eye. I mean,
it's good and deeply unkind.
It's harsh, isn't it? Yeah. I've been thinking, because someone's come in with that and I've been thinking about how much of you think that's a bit harsh?
Oh, God. We've gone on this one quite a lot, but like we've all got a bungalow in our friend group, haven't we?
Yeah. Only got one story. Right. The ref gets distracted early on and Marina Shafir posted Cope as Mox stood there. Death Riders dominate, obviously. Finally gets a backdrop on Yuta and makes the hot tag to Wheel, who runs wild.
If you wheel.
Wheel wouldn't cope. I came up with the DCC on the news.
DCC?
Dax, Cash, and Cope.
Oh, good. I like that,
Sort of the BCC versus DCC here.
Dax full combat club.
Yuta hits an angle slam to knock down Dax Harwood after he's run wild for a bit. There's a big avalanche back suplex as Yuta goes up top to put them both down. Castagnoli gets Wheeler out of there, hits Cope with a big boot. There's a jackhammer and a big splash from Yuta to get a near fall. Or a jackhammer from Claudio and a big splash from Yuta to get a near fall. Takes us to a break. Finally, when we come back, Cope and Mox both come in to go at it. Cope spins out the Death Rider, hits an Impaler DDT, but Mox gets out there before he can get hit with a spear. Cope goes out after him. They brawl into the crowd. They make their way back. Moxley blind tags Yuta. Yuta signals for the spear, but runs into a pop-up Liger bomb for 2. Cope sets up for a spear, but gets his legs pulled out by Mox and Claudio, sending crotch first into the post. Wheeler makes the save. Wants a dive, but Claudio hits a nice uppercut to drop him. Claudio Mox clear off the commentary table. Mox kisses Tony Schiavone on the cheek and teases a pile driver, but Cope backdrops him. And all of this allows Switchblade Jay White to slide in and take out Yuta with the Blade Runner. Cope tackles Moxley through the barricade. Yuta eats a shatter machine and a spear. 1, 2, 3. Rated FTR get the win to close out this show.
Nice feel-good match.
Yeah.
Already pointed out, but Jay White getting his revenge on Wheeler Yuta, and there being consequences to that will put him back in the crosshairs of the Death Riders if and when he doesn't win the casino. That kind of, it's nice overlapping stuff there. I like that. Walk with me, right? You know, I said how Darby Allin might not win the world title.
Okay.
I thought some stuff, and it happened during this main event. The belt being kept in the briefcase is, I think, quite a nice device. People are saying that they miss it, but I actually would. And to be fair, John Moxley, because I think I've been pretty critical of him for about a year now, I think is quite a nice device in terms of heat, because people, like, it does feel like it needs rescuing. And that is kind of what he's been shooting for all along, is to make you feel like you want somebody to rescue. Forget the soul of AEW. The belt of AEW is the thing that actually matters, right? And there's all these contenders, and he keeps getting rid of them, and there's interference and whatnot. John Moxley is very, very careful about when he loses, how he loses, who he loses to. And there is a good reason for that. Wrestling, cutthroat industry, be competitive, believe in yourself, all that kind of stuff. But on occasion with Mox, of late, it has felt like, really? Anyway, in the same time as in building this feud with Cope, should I say, as part of this feud with Cope, there is this little bubbling thing where, like, Cope was like, I was wrestling when you were growing pubes, right? So the idea is that Cope has tried to create this idea that, like, don't think I can't take you. Go on, get your thought out, please.
No, I did half see this, but I forgot about it happening, and you reminded me.
Okay, right, yeah. The idea is that, like, I'm not scared of you. I've lived 10 lives before.
Reminds me of this, like, Ali G saying, like, well, if we keep doing this, you have to go on your pubes. This kid's like, I haven't got any. He's like, well, I've got millions. So.
It reminds me of Cartman Glenham's just face in South Park when people talk pubes. And Horace Hogan, shut up, your pubes, right? Anyway, Cope doing the sort of, I'm not scared of you and any of your, like, there's a lot of young guys here that maybe could be scared of you. They've not walked the roads that you've walked on. I've done that 10 times over, mate. You can't scare me with your supposed violence, because I've speared mankind into fire.
Yes.
Like, I don't necessarily believe it, but you can totally believe that Cope would buy that. I'm more hardcore than you, whatever. They have a match, and John Moxley wins. Twist. And it's because of the Death Riders and whatever, and a numbers game on the night, and Cope was like, you know what, I should have actually put your credentials to the test, Mr. Hardest guy, Mr. Deathmatch, whatever. Like, my match, me and you, ladder match, right?
Okay.
And what's hanging from the thing? It's a briefcase. Edge, synonymous, ultimate opportunist, right? And he's cradling the briefcase, and there's the lovely echo of the first time he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, and it was like, that changed everything for Cope, didn't it? And what happens? Christian cashes in his contract on Cope, the new world champion, as he's holding the briefcase in, like, a nice callback to when they took the TNT title off him.
Yeah.
And in an ultimate callback of, Cope's done it, and like, Moxley's not had to take a pinfall loss. He's done a job. He's done a JOB in a ladder match. Cope's got the briefcase, right? And then Christian cashes in. It's like, you bastard! Christian becomes world champion. Christian's a heel too. He never opens that freaking case, and then Moxley, like, beats Christian to win it back.
I like that.
Like, and that's hot potato.
Yeah. But it's an exciting new direction, which I haven't felt for a long while with this world title.
Even if none of that stuff happens, and it's just a little set of scenarios that happen in my head, it did feel
a lot more believable, yeah.
There was just a sense of freshness about this. I didn't hate the Death Riders.
Yeah.
Sue me. I didn't hate them at all.
Cope challenge for a world title is more believable than 3 other men that you didn't think stood a chance at world title.
Totally, yeah. This isn't token stuff, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, I like that as a nice place to end. Let us know your thoughts on Cope and this episode of AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen, either in the comments or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow both of us. Follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, it's been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Michael Hamflett. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.